Nice to see. Okay, so you got my screen up. You see the website. You see the Twitter, Instagram. This is for anybody who is not a member. Depending on the content that I speak today, if I don't reveal too much, which I'm planning to not do in this webinar, I will post it on YouTube for others to watch so that they have a good idea of what to expect from this service, how to use this service, what to expect, how we're going to go about trying to transfer what I have learned and my experience into your brains, because that's what I believe you're here for. You're here because you've seen me trade, you've seen my analysis, and there was something about what you saw that clicked with you. So that's great. Something clicked with you. You like what you see, and now you want to grasp onto the knowledge and take it into your own brain, and hopefully use it so that you can become a profitable trader. So if this is the reason why you're here, send me a yes right now on the private Twitter feed. If this is the reason why you're here, because something clicked with what you saw in my analysis, in my videos, and something I posted on Twitter, something you saw and you said, hey, this seems like the real deal. This seems like the real way to trade the markets. This guy sounds like he knows what he's talking about. And over I see this guy's analysis, and for some reason, this guy seems to know where price is going to move to more often than not. And so you saw this and you thought to yourself, I've got to learn what this guy knows. Because obviously, if I know the same thing, then I can make my trading better. I can make myself more consistent and be able to bring in a nice income so I can support my family. I can go out, go grocery shopping, buy high quality, healthy foods for my family. I could buy nice clothes for my kids. I can take them to Disney World and nice vacations. And I don't have to kiss somebody's butt for a paycheck. I can live free on my own schedule, do my own thing, but with the understanding that I gotta work. Okay? I hope you guys are here. Yes, yes, yes. I get the yeses. Wonderful. Only a couple yeses. 4 or 5 yeses. We got 37 people here. I guess the rest of you 30 people are not that interested in learning. Just kidding. So 38, the numbers are coming up. Great. Everybody's coming in. Wonderful. Glad to see it. So that's what it was for me. That's what got me into trading, was because I was just not happy with not being free. That's what it came down to. It came down to being free. For a few years, and as soon as I decided to make it, I thought I could learn from you and make money at the same time. Nice, Dex. Just read your message. Eddie, yes. And give some to charity. Yes, my man. Exactly. Give some to charity. Exactly. I don't know what you guys believe, but I believe in God. And one thing I've learned in my life is that there is a supreme being who created everything. And we're on this planet to make the lives of other people better. Period. And once you veer off of that journey of making the lives of other people better, you're going to start to realize your life is not going to be so fulfilling any longer. Okay? And this is what it basically boils down to, why I'm doing this. Because to be honest with you, I was trading, and it took me a long time to get to the point where I was consistently making money and able to provide a nice income to support my family. And for the last couple of years, I was, offering my analysis for free on YouTube, on Twitter. And this was my way of giving back. My way of giving back was, hey guys, look, I'm doing all the work, spending all the time doing the work, researching, testing, analyzing, and I'm giving it all to you for free. This was my way of giving back, because it became It became lonely, just trading, analyzing, taking trades, winning, making money, you know, taking losses as well. You know, what's the purpose? It's just an ongoing cycle, doing the same thing over and over again. Yeah, the money's great and the lifestyle's great. It's all great. But when you're not affecting people's lives, you know, there's only so much that's going to take you. And yes, it was affecting my friends and family's lives because I was managing money for them, and it's affecting my own personal family members' lives because, you know, I'm providing them a good life. But at the end of the day, you have to give back. Okay, so let's get into it. I think we got a good amount of people here. Yep, almost everybody. I thank you for that, and my charities. Thank you. Yes, yes, yes. All right, good feedback from everybody. Thank you. All right, so in this webinar, I basically wanted to go through a few things about the service, what to expect, what not to expect, how to use the service, and how not to use this service. But first of all, I want to start with who I am, what my name is, and how I got to where I am today. All right? So my name is Kevin, and I live in Canada, and my parents came to this country from Europe, and they had nothing. My father started working in the cleaning business, worked his butt off until he got to a point where he was a manager of one of the largest cleaning companies in Toronto. Then he started his own business, and I used to come home from school, change my clothes, and jump into the family wagon, and we used to go to work. We used to go to a building, we used to clean it. Okay, and I was a young kid in high school. Used to go and work until 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, come home, do my homework, and that was my life for about 3 years until my father grew the company a little bit larger, and then he could hire people, and people started working for us. And it was a tough start in life, but at that point in life, I realized you have to work your butt off to achieve anything. So later on in life, I eventually finished my schooling, and I took on the company. My father retired. He said, "Here's the business. You take it on." And so what we did was we cleaned office buildings. All right, and I managed close to 100 people at one point, and it was tough. It was really tough, and I had to, you know, deal with a lot of people. I had to deal with tenants of buildings, property managers, owners of buildings, and I also had to work with people that, you know, were looking for cleaning work to support their families. Many of the people that I hired, cleaning was their second job. So I worked very closely with people who were struggling in life. And it was heartbreaking to hear the stories and to see the struggles that people were going through. And I was bending the limits of what an entrepreneur should do, because an entrepreneur's job is to make money, period. But I was always faced with the struggle of, you know, bottom line or do what's right for the people. And I kept on choosing to do what's right for the people. And many times it wasn't the smartest business decision, but at the time I couldn't think of any other way to go about running a business. Because at the end of the day, I had to sleep in bed and I had to be okay with myself. So that was my beginning, running a cleaning business, and it getting to the point where it was just too much. The bureaucracy, the backstabbing in the corporate world, the people who lie to you, that trick you, try to take your business, it was just too much for me. I like to, at the end of my day, lay down in bed and have a clear conscience and not feel like I have to look over my back. And that's how I felt. That's how I felt running this business, because too many shady characters out there, way too many. And I said, you know, God, please, I don't know how much longer I can do this. I know my father is counting on me running this business and taking on this family legacy that he's created, but I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I'm good with this, because this is just too much. And I thought to myself, you know what? I got to find a business that I can get into that requires not hiring any staff, not dealing with any clients, not dealing with any leaving of the house from 7 o'clock in the morning and coming home at 9 o'clock at night. Because remember, I used to go out and visit buildings, visit property managers, visit clients, come back, eat lunch, go back out, come back around 4 or 5 p.m., spend some time with my wife, and then go back out again to inspect properties to make sure that buildings were being cleaned properly. That's what I did for years. And I thought to myself, you know what, this is not a life. This is not a life. Sure, I'm making a good living doing this, but this is not a life. I got to find a way that I can make money, be my own boss, put in my own hours, and be able to be free and have freedom in my day. So one day I went onto my phone and I went to Google and I searched trading. I had already had some experience with investing in real estate. You know, I read a book many years ago from a guy by the name of Robert Kiyosaki. I'm sure many of you have heard about this guy before. He was on Oprah Winfrey one day, and it was a great book. Here, look, brought up some images just to give you some visual here. Okay, cleaning company. That's what I ran, right? And then I saw a book from this guy, Robert Kiyosaki. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, changed my life. This guy talked about how you can create other sources of income to provide a good life for your family. One being real estate, the other one being paper assets. When I first heard that, paper assets, I'm like, what is paper assets? Did some research. Oh, stock market. Okay, cool. Yeah, I've always been kind of interested in stock markets. You buy something for $5, 2 years down the road, you sell it for $10. Wonderful. You make a lot of money. So now I was thinking maybe I should get into buying stocks. Maybe that's what I should do is get into buying some stocks. But I realized I had to learn how to do it first. I wasn't going to try to be a superhero and try to figure out what companies to buy into and so forth, because, you know, I was just going to destroy myself. I at least had enough sense to know I had to get the proper education. So I went on my phone, went onto Google, did a search, and I found this school in Toronto that taught supply and demand. Now, at this time, I didn't know the difference between supply and demand, support and resistance. I didn't know anything. But by the graces of God, he made sure that that first link that came up in Google was this school that taught supply and demand. So I went for their free little session, and I spent 7 hours, I think 7 or 8 hours watching this session. And they explained, you know, who started the education. The education was started by a guy who used to work for the institutions. Okay? He used to work for the institutions, the world's biggest banks, or one of them at least. And he started to realize that the markets moved in a very different manner than what most people believed that they did. Because on his desk he had orders. He had orders to buy and he had orders to sell. So he'd have orders to buy a stock at a certain price, and then he'd have orders to sell that same stock at a different price, which was higher. And so he began to realize that when he looked at price charts, he knew when price was going to go up because he would just look at the orders. Wherever the big stack of buy orders were, that's where price would end up going up from, is those prices that those stack orders were at. And price would go up until they reached supply, or the big stack of orders that he had to sell the stock at a certain price. So he quickly realized, hey, there's something going on here. What's moving the markets is order flow, period. People buying and people selling. That's what moves the markets. Nothing else moves the markets. So he took that knowledge and he brought it to this school, and they taught how the markets move. For the first time, because this school used to teach based on support and resistance. And we all know how well that does. If you're lucky, you can make some money, sure. A lot of people out there make money using support and resistance. But the bottom line is support and resistance is out there, and it's the predominant way of trading because the big institutions who are trying to take your money are making it so. Okay, so I took this school and I spent a heck of a lot of money on the education that they offered there. A heck of a lot of money. But I took it extremely serious, and I fell in love with it. I fell in love with charts, studying charts, analyzing charts. It just all of a sudden just hit me that I loved this. Okay? And I think one of the reasons why I fell in love with it was because when I was a kid, I fell in love with magic. One day, I don't know if you guys remember, David Copperfield used to have television specials on TV every year, one special, an hour long. I remember being a kid, I used to record them. And the first time I ever watched a special, I was floored with the fact that this guy was doing miracles. He was doing miracles. He was doing things that should be considered to be impossible. Okay? Where's my man? David Copperfield. Tell me if you guys recognize this guy. David Copperfield. So I remember watching a magic special and I was like floored. My God, this guy just showed me something that is completely impossible. And from that time on, I said to myself, I've got to figure out how this guy just did what he did. If you guys can still see my screen and hear me, just give me a quick yes. Anybody? Want to make sure you're still with me? So I became obsessed with trying to figure out how this guy was performing miracles, because there was something about what this guy was doing that I knew that there was some secret to it. Right? Because obviously it's impossible to make somebody float. I mean, I've never seen anybody float in my life. So how is this guy making somebody float? You're still here. Good. So I became obsessed with trying to figure things out. And so I used to watch tapes of magic over and over again in slow motion, fast forward, backwards. I mean, everything to try to figure it out. And I realized that if you spent enough time analyzing something, you will eventually figure it out. If you put enough time and effort into something, you will eventually figure it out. So fast forward, I'm in this class and I'm learning how to spot supply and demand on the charts. And I realize, wow, ever since my love and my passion for magic, I haven't been enthusiastic and as passionate about anything else in my life until right now, because I was being given the answer to my problems. I wanted to find a way to make an income without a boss, without staff, by doing it from wherever I wanted to. All I needed is a computer and internet connection. And I had the power to make my own hours. And for the first time, I would get paid for my efforts. Okay? If I worked harder, I get more from it. And sometimes, as you may or may not know, in the corporate world, not all the time does it work like that. Okay? Not all the time does it work like that. And trust me, I've felt that. Used to work so hard, put in so many hours, and it seemed like nobody even recognized that I was doing that. And so trading was the first time I ever felt, wow, I can have the power in my own hands to make my life a success. All I got to do is put my time and effort into this. So I fell in love with charts. I fell in love with looking at graphs and charts and price action and figuring out the why. Why is it doing what it's doing? Why did it move up? Why didn't it go down? Why is it doing that? And so for the last 5 years, my journey has been just that. Studying charts, devoting all my time, most of my time, to studying charts and getting a good understanding as to why price is doing what it's doing. All right? So my trading career started off with a mentor who used to work for the institutions, teaching the reality of the markets. From then, I found another mentor who taught me a lot about how to incorporate rules into your trading, because one thing about this original school I went to, they were great and they taught me, about supply and demand, but what they basically did was like teaching me how to drive a car, and I never drove a car before in my life. And you go to somebody and you teach them how to drive a car, and then you put them in the middle of a busy city, and you don't teach them about signals, lights, how to turn, pedestrian crosswalks. What happens if somebody teaches you how to drive a car but doesn't teach you the rules of the road? You're going to smash up your car, and that's exactly what happened. So here I was being taught how to spot supply and demand on the charts without any solid rules, and sure enough, everything fell apart. I lost a lot of money, just like most of you probably have. Okay? So I found another mentor who had some of the skills of how to put your knowledge around a set of rules. And what I learned from that mentor was, you can have a beautiful set of rules on how to trade, but those rules aren't made for everybody. Because the bottom line is, everybody's different. Okay? Everybody's different. And what works for me may not work for you. All right? How I trade is very, very complicated and requires a lot of time on my behalf. Studying charts, studying zones. I mean, it's ridiculous the amount of hours I have to put into my charts for me to be able to stay on top of the market. But that's how I need to put in that much work for me to be able to track and stay focused on what's going on with price. Now, many of you come here from different parts of the world with different sets of skills. Some of you are completely new to trading. Some of you have been trading for some time. Some of you probably jumped from one mentor to another and to another with no results. I'm sure that's happened. It happened with me when I first started. Same thing. So that is my beginning. That is what's led me to where I am today, because the second mentor I had, I put together some rules, but the rules didn't jive with me. And plus, I saw a lot of holes in the rules that just needed to be filled. And I saw a lot of room for improvement. And what was being told to me was not possible. I said, you know what? I see a way where it's possible. So I went on, did my own thing, and realized that, yes, if you work hard enough, you can make what seems to be impossible possible. All right? It is possible. Some people write me and say, hey, I want to make 5% a week. Is that possible? Hey, I'll tell you right now, it could be possible. And if you really want to make that happen, you can make it happen. But just know, 5% a week doesn't come from you not putting in serious amount of work and effort into trying to find a system. But if you want to find a system where you're going to be able to make 5% a week, I'm sure you can do it. Okay? You have to judge, how much effort do you want to put into this game? How much effort do you want to put into learning? How much commitment are you going to put towards this? And what your expectations should be based on how much work you want to put into it. That's what you got to determine. Okay? I know how much work and effort I put into my trading, and I know what I'm looking to make every single month. And I know that it's reasonable. And I'm seriously actually thinking that it could be more, but I don't want to think that way. I want to be conservative. Okay? So that's my start. That's how I began. That is my history. That's who I am. And now I want to get into why you're here and what to expect from this service and what not to expect from this service. Okay? So as you know, I've been sending out reports every weekend regarding the markets, the institutional positions, and what is most likely going to take place in the markets because of the data, and by also taking a look at the positions of the institutions. Okay? So one thing I want to get across to you about learning how to do something, because when I started putting some thought behind how am I going to transfer knowledge from my head into everybody else's head, because everybody's coming at me from different skill sets, different amounts of experience, different abilities to absorb information. So how am I going to make it work for everybody? Well, this is how you make it work for everybody. The only way I can teach you what you need to know about the markets so that it stays in your head and you can actually apply it is if you follow along day by the examples that I set. And you watch my routine, you see what I do, you see what I'm saying about the markets, what I'm looking at, why am I looking at that, why am I determining that that's a good spot to buy, why am I waiting, why am I saying that chart, there is no opportunities to buy on that chart, by following along day by day, okay? Because the truth of the matter is, I can make some fancy ebook that says, secrets to mastering the Forex market, you know, and you buy it and you take it and you read it and you're like, whoa, 98% of it will go right over your head because you're not ready for it. Your brain hasn't been prepared to accept any of it. So it's going to go right over your head. And that's what happens with most traders on the journey to learning how to trade. You join a service, they give you all this fancy information about here's the secrets to make money in the markets, and you read it all and you're like, well, that kind of seems kind of simple. Is that it? Okay, so let me do it. And then you try to do it and then it fails. And then you try again and it fails. And then sometimes you make it. It's like a casino. You keep on pulling it and sometimes you get the coins. Most of the times you don't. But because every once in a while the bell rings, you're thinking, oh, maybe I should just continue doing it. Until eventually you're like, wait a minute, I don't see any consistency here. I don't see any consistent results. Because first of all, that's not the way that you should be learning. Okay? That's not the way to learn. You know, when I was young, I would see the food that my mother would make, and I would be so impressed with how good it tasted. I was saying to myself, you know what? I have to learn how to cook like this because one day I'm going to be a grown man and I'm going to be living on my own, and I want to be able to make the same quality of food as what my mother's making right now for me. So did I go to the library and get a book on cooking and open it up and start reading through it? No, I didn't do that. What did I do? I'll tell you what I did. Every time my mother cooked, I went by the stove and I stood there, okay? And I would watch quietly. And I'd see her taking out a pot, putting it on the stove, and chopping up some beef into little pieces, and putting a little bit of olive oil in the bottom of the pot, and then tossing in the pieces, right? And then stirring the pieces around, and my brain was watching, and I'm like, oh, okay, I see what she's doing. She cut up pieces of pork or beef, she put it in, and now she's moving it around in the oil, and I'm watching it, and I'm watching the meat sizzle, and I'm like, oh, okay, I see. That's cool. And I had no questions. And then I'd watch her make the whole soup. Later on, I'd eat the soup and I'd be like, Mom, wow, this soup was so good. I mean, I bite into the meat and the juices coming out of the meat was so tasty, so juicy. How did you do that? How did you make it so juicy? And then she'd say, well, next time I make soup, come and watch me and I'll show you what I did. And so the next time she'd make soup, doing the same thing, cutting up the pieces of meat and putting it into the pot with the olive oil, stirring it around. And now I had the inclination to think, wait a minute. So why is it that you're stirring the meat now? Last time I watched you stir the meat, but I didn't even know that I should be asking you, why are you stirring the meat? But now I'm curious, why are you stirring the meat? And she told me, well, you see how I'm stirring the meat? It's sizzling. Yeah, I want to seal the outside of the meat to keep the natural juices inside. And I'm like, oh my, wow, really? That is like, I never even heard of such a thing. I never even thought about such a concept even existed. Wow, okay, I get it. So you're searing the meat on the inside to keep the juices in. Great. And then she would add some wine and some vegetables and yada yada. And then down the road, she'd make another soup, and I'd sit there and watch, stand by her side and watch. So, Mom, why are you putting in the salt now? Why are you sprinkling in the salt now? Why don't you put it in later? Oh, the reason why I'm putting the salt in now is because you wanted to take out the flavors from the vegetables so that they get soaked into the juices. And when I add water, those flavors go within the water. That's why when you eat soup, and you take a spoonful of just the liquid, you taste all that yumminess in that liquid. Oh, I gotcha. So you see what I was doing? Time after time after time, I stood by her, watching what she did. Every little thing she did. Added salt. Why are you putting in salt now? Why not later? Why is it now? Why are you putting in that liquid now? Why don't you put it in later? And that is what helped me to learn how to cook soup. Okay? Can you imagine if I went to her and said, Ma, I want to learn how to cook soup. Yeah, okay, sure. Give me a piece of paper and pen. First, put garlic inside pot. Put olive oil. Put the meat in. A dash of this, a dash of that, some carrots, celery, bada boom, bada bing, you got soup. Okay? And then I go off to make soup on my own. I'm gonna maybe put the salt at the wrong time, the liquid at the wrong time. Oh, I don't have potatoes now. Maybe I can use some cauliflower. Is that going to change the taste of the soup? And then it's going to be a disaster. Why? Because you don't understand, or I wouldn't understand, the why behind everything that she's doing. So if there's one thing I can pass on to you is, if you don't understand the why, you're never going to get how to trade. You can trade whatever type of system you want, but if you don't understand how the market works and why it moves the way it does, you're not going to understand, and you're not going to be able to trade consistently. You guys got me? Can I get some yeah? Yes? I got you? Makes sense? Because I need to really make sure you guys get this point. This is super, super important. Okay? So you have to watch, you have to observe. You may not ask any questions the first few times, and that's fine. Do your best to observe and watch everything. Why am I saying what I'm saying? Why am I writing that? Why am I waiting? Why is now a good time? And then when you start to get it, and it starts to make sense, and you have a question, ask me. Send me a private message. Hey, on your latest report, you said that you think that this is what's in play right now, that the institutions are taking profits on their long positions, and they're looking to most likely move price to the downside. If they just added more to their long, what would make you think that price is eventually going to go down? Boom! Beautiful question. If you don't understand why I'm saying that, from all the videos that I've posted on YouTube, and all the reports and all that, nice, Leo DiCaprio. Thanks, buddy. That's a good one. If you guys haven't realized why I'm doing and saying what I'm saying, just reach out and ask. That's what I'm here for. I want you guys to understand. And how you guys are going to understand is by me doing it and showing it to you every single day. You watch, you see, you examine, and then over time, your brain is going to get it. See, what you guys don't even realize is that in these reports, in these videos that I'm sending out to you guys, I'm planting seeds in your mind. Because you're reading my analysis and you're reading terms that you maybe are unfamiliar with. Maybe some of you are familiar. But you're going to read terms like, oh, taking out supply zone, then retracing, tricking people into buying, breaking past these highs, and then once those highs are broken, it clears a path for a bigger move to the upside. I'm planting seeds in your mind. You're reading, you're watching, you're learning, but these ideas are being planted in your brain. So that one day, a month, 2 months down the road, 3 months down the road, your level of understanding what I am doing is going to be that much more elevated. And then all these seeds that are being planted in your brain right now, they're going to start to sprout. And then you're going to have light bulbs going off on your head, and you're going to be like, damn, I know what this guy's up to. I see what he's doing. I see why he's waiting. Yeah, that makes complete sense. You have to wait right now. Yeah, of course you need that supply zone to be taken out before we can go long. Okay? I'm planting the seeds in your head so that they do sprout. All right? So before we go any further, now you can understand how I want to transfer this information from my head into yours. You understand how I want to do that. By doing the work, by doing the analysis, by showing you every day what I do, what my process is, how I'm patient, how I keep my emotions in check most of the times, and how I look at the markets and how I break down the information from the COT reports. Okay? Let me take a sip of my tea because I haven't stopped for the last 40 minutes. Can you imagine 40 minutes has passed, guys? Is this crazy? 40 minutes? Holy smokers. Give me 1 second. All right, I'm back. So, what to expect from this service? What to expect is it's going to take time to learn. Period. There is no shortcuts, okay? You know how people say there is no holy grail in trading? Yeah, actually there is a holy grail. The holy grail is understanding the truth behind the markets and how the markets truly work. That's the holy grail. And then putting in a lot of time and effort into learning this. Because the truth of the matter is, if you make a commitment, listen to what I'm about to tell you. I don't know how old you are or what stage in life you are, but if you truly want financial freedom, honestly, you have to make a commitment of at least between 3 and 5 years to say, I'm going to commit myself in ways I've never committed to anything before, so that the next 3 to 5 years, I can learn a skill that can never be taken away from me. Never. Nobody can ever take it away from me. I'm recession proof. I can live through any recession because I'm tapped into the world's largest market, and I have knowledge in my mind that nobody can take away from me. And I can produce a good, steady financial future for myself, for my wife, for my kids, for my husband, for whoever, for my parents, my uncle, aunt, cousins, friends. But you got to spend the time. 3 to 5 years. That's how long it took me. About 5 years. Well, a little bit less than that. I'm still, the more I learn about trading, the more I realize how much more room I have to improve upon my skills. But yeah, between 3 and 5 years, 100%. Okay? So if you're committed, I'm committed. I'm not going anywhere. I'm in this for life. Okay? I'm in this for life, and I think I have another 50 years to go. As long as my brain is working, I'm going at it. All right? I'm using the money I make from trading to buy myself organic food and soups and pills and nutrition and all sorts of stuff I never even knew existed 2-3 years ago. My naturopath is telling me I gotta buy it. Okay? Because if you don't have a good health, you have nothing. You got to keep your mind working. And I want my mind to work for a long time. I love this. I love trading too much for me to want to ever think about retiring from it. I can't even grasp the concept of doing that. Okay? So the ability to learn and to make a good living from this is there. It's for the taking, guys. It's right there. And I know you guys have heard stories like this from people before, okay? But the reality is it's going to take a long time. But here's the thing. You can spend a long time learning how to do something, but if you're being taught the wrong way, you're not going to get anywhere, okay? You think the world's best golf player got to be the best because he was learning how to play golf the wrong way? No, you got to be taught the right way to do things. All right, and there's many ways to trade the markets, but there's only one real way that the market works. Okay, that's through supply and demand, and that's because of the institutions filling in orders to push price up or push price down. Period. There is no other way. So you can take whatever system that you use right now to trade, combine it with what you are going to learn from this service, which is how the markets really work, and you're unstoppable. Nothing can stop you, period. I guarantee you. Unstoppable. But you got to put in the time and effort. Okay? So, let's get down to something. I want to let you know that I want to give you some definitions to the vocabulary that I'm going to be throwing at you. Okay? So, some of you have asked me, what's these theme trades? What are these theme trades all about? How do I get involved in the markets alongside you, and how do I make money? Because, you know, the ideal way to use this service is obviously it would be lovely to make money on the side, to make more money than the cost of this service, so that the money you're making from trading, you can toss towards the subscription. And then you're making a little bit of coin on the side. That's the perfect way while getting your education, while building up your mind to be ready to make an income for yourself without my help. That's ideally what you want to achieve. Or maybe I start a community and we never separate from each other. Maybe you get to a point where you're making $4, $5, $6, $7, $8, $9, $10,000 a month, and hey, let's stay together. Why not? You're locked in at the $100 a month forever. Cheap. Cheap, cheap, cheap. Okay, so let's get into some of the vocabulary. So some people have asked me, okay, what are these theme trades? So I trade based off of two different types of trades. One is institutional trade signals. I'm studying the charts and analyzing the charts and figuring out where the institutions are going to get into the markets and then cause a push to the upside. Like just recently, we took a trade on oil based off of an institutional trade signal right here. Boom. So my analysis was trying to figure out where is price going to come down and where is it going to shoot up from. Okay? And so I was able to determine from my analysis that price after leaving here was going to come back here, and this was going to be the area to buy. And it worked out perfectly, right? You get in, look at the drawdown on that trade. Look at the drawdown. Entry here, stop loss here. Okay? You get in, very little drawdown on your account, and boom, all upside. And it happens immediately. These are institutional trade signals. Now, remember, I can't advise anybody on what trades to take. I'm not an advisor. I'm not licensed to be an advisor. I'm here to share my trades with you for educational purposes. You watch, you learn, and you're watching what I'm doing, and you're seeing how I'm picking these zones and finding these zones, and you learn from it. If you decide to take trades on a demo account, real account, whatever, that's on you. And if you want to do that, you could do that based off of trades, off of institutional trade signals. Okay, because they've got a high probability of working out quickly without much drawdown at all. And that's what you need at this point. You need to get into a trade and not see any drawdown, because drawdown causes emotions to go out of whack. And you don't want that when you're first starting. Okay, so the majority of my trades are typically institutional trade signals like this. Every once in a while, I'll open up trades when the time is right, based off of what I call a theme trade. So what is a theme trade? So a theme trade is pretty much trading based off a theme. Okay, price was coming up here on the euro, and it was hitting an area that I have determined to be an area that the institutions will eventually close off their long positions and cause price to drop to the downside. And when price first gets up there, because it's such a high time frame area of supply, I know it's going to take some time for price to consolidate there, for them to get out of their positions, and for momentum to shift to the downside. So I do my analysis. Does it make sense to open up short positions here and hold them for a long time? Because there is something called swap. Okay, many people have asked me, what is swap? WSAP. Well, swap is, in the currency market, it works like this. When I'm selling the euro USD, I'm selling the euro dollar and buying the US dollar. So you got to look at the interest rates of both currencies. The interest rate of the euro and interest rate of the US dollar. And if the US dollar interest rate is higher than the euro, then if I sell the euro and buy the dollar, I'm going to get paid for the amount of money that I purchased. Okay? So if I sell the euro, buy the US dollar, $100,000 worth, for example, I'm going to get paid every single day for having that US dollars. And that money is going to be real money in my account just by having the position open. Okay, so ideally on a theme trade, if I know I'm going to be making money by opening up the position and holding on to the position, then doesn't it make sense to open up that position early here and wait through all of this until the eventual drop, so I can get paid for having that position open? Yes, it does. But I'll tell you right now, this is the riskiest trade that I take. And I haven't been taking these type of trades until the last few, maybe about a month. A year. Since about August, September last year, I started taking these type of trades. Okay, and taking this one specifically is the most risky. And the reason why it's the most risky is because I have to open up the position before I even see any type of signs of a momentum shift, right? Up at this point, all I could see was price and momentum was to the upside. I had to open up a short position when there was no indication that price was going to reverse at that area. But because of my strong belief that price was going to reverse right here, based on years of analyzing charts and understanding supply and demand, I open up those positions. And I will be paid for taking those risks by earning positive swap, holding this position the whole time. So typically, if the swap is not in my favor, let's say the interest rate on the euro was more than the US dollar, then obviously I wouldn't want to be selling short, because in a situation where you sell short and the euro interest rate's higher, I'm going to be losing money every single day that I have this position open. I have to pay the interest. So I'm not going to open up that position early. I'm going to wait until I see a breakdown and a complete shift in momentum, and then I'll start opening up the positions. Like, for instance, I would wait for this area to be broken, this daily demand zone that's been holding price up. Once this gets taken out, boom, then I open up the positions and hold. Because I want to profit immediately. I don't want to hold on because it's costing me money to hold. Okay? So that's a theme trade. And the last thing anybody who is a member here should be doing is taking any trades based off of any of my theme trades. Honestly, do not do it. Because if my analysis is wrong and price ends up breaking to the upside, I have a plan in place on how I'm going to hedge myself and hedge my positions so that the drawdown becomes very minimal, and eventually I get out at either break even or profits. Typically I get out at profits if I have to hedge. But since I've been trading this type of strategy, I haven't found myself in any bad situations. They've been very profitable, and this is why I've incorporated this strategy after years of analyzing charts and realizing that there was great opportunity in these type of trades. Okay? But I do not recommend it to anybody, and I've already said it in the community. I said, please do not trade theme trades. In fact, I didn't even want to share my theme trades with anybody. But for the sake of clarity and transparency, some of you asked, you're like, hey, you keep talking about these theme trades. Why don't you show us the trades? I'm like, okay, I'll show you the trades, but that's not to entice you guys to do any of that. Do not trade theme trades, please, okay? Because you're going to stress yourself out. And if you're going to take any trades, take responsibility for them, all right? Because first of all, I'm not telling you to take any trades. I'm just sharing what I'm doing so you can learn, okay? The ideal way is to trade a demo account. You want to copy my trades, fine, that's on you, do it, but on a demo account, and start building up a belief that this system really works and it works for you. Okay? So don't just copy. So I have no stop loss or take profit in place. Exactly. And I'll tell you why. Because I'm not afraid of price spiking up or spiking down. Okay, the reason why I trade the currency markets, because I used to trade stocks, I used to trade options, I used to trade futures, I traded all that stuff. And one thing I learned is that the stock market is way too dangerous. You know, so-and-so CEO dies overnight, the next day the stock collapses. No, thank you. Stop losses aren't going to help you in those situations, and I don't want to expose my money to that. So after reviewing all the markets, I said to myself, hey, the Forex market is the most predictable. Zones are respected exactly to the T, and it's the largest market in the world, so the liquidity is always there. So I'm not going to get stuck in a situation where, why did I buy that stock? I can't get out of it now. That's never going to happen. And it's open all the time. And I can take trades and set up trades whenever it's convenient for me. So that's why I trade the Forex market. And so I'm not, you know, I mean, is the euro going to gap up from where it is now to $1.26? No, it's not going to happen. Okay? It's just not going to happen. And I could put stop losses up here. If I put a stop loss on my shorts, they'd be up here, 126.50s, 126.50s. I'd put my stop loss there. But I'm not concerned. And I don't put targets, no. Because I don't want to put into my brain, if it goes here, I lose. And if it goes here, I win. I don't want to put that in my brain. My brain is saying, I'm in this position, I believe it's going to go down, and I know exactly where price has to go for me to be shown that the dynamics are shifting. I have my alerts set on my charts, and if those alerts go off, then I'm notified, hey, the dynamics have changed. Yeah, look what happened to the Swiss. Yeah, I get that. What happened to the Swiss? It went straight down. And a lot of stops, most stops weren't even triggered because of how quickly the markets moved, okay? And that was a complete setup. The Euro Swiss and what happened to that, that was a complete setup. They were posting, telling everybody it's not going to move past this level, and all of a sudden it did. And then the Swiss just collapsed. What ended up happening a few months later, or a month later? Price came right back to where it was, okay? So I can put stops. You think what happened to the Swiss is going to happen to the euro? It's possible. And you know what? Maybe I'll change my mind on where I should put my stops and if I should put my stops. But for the time being right now, I'm not putting any stops. Okay, because I don't have that concern. In fact, I'm using such little leverage on these theme trades because typically when I open up a trade, I'm risking 1% of my account. If I take a trade off of a zone like this trade here, I get in here and my stop loss is here, I'm risking 1% of my account. If that stop loss gets hit, I lose 1% of my account. Bulletproof is 2 to 1 away from that zone. 1/3 of my account gets, or 1/3 of my trade gets closed there, which makes it bulletproof. If price comes up here, hits my bulletproof, and then it hits my stop loss, I break even. But the goal is to hit that and to ride the wave higher. Because once the trade is bulletproof, your emotions are not there, right? So I don't have a stop loss because I'm not worried about it going up. If it goes up, I start to hedge my position. I'm not taking a loss on it. Okay? If I put my stop loss up here and price comes up and breaks through here and then reverses down, what's the point? What's the point of having these trades? You got the direction right, but you didn't know exactly where the institutions were going to push price. This happens. And in these situations, look, supply gets taken out and pushed higher. So it's unpredictable. But eventually, the move that I suspect is going to happen is going to happen. So I don't want to be shaken out of my trade. Okay? So let's get into a little bit more of the vocabulary. So if you look at the reports, you'll see I was using terminology like CP supply zone. So people were asking me, what's a CP? So a CP stands for continuation pattern. Okay? Just think of the word continue. When you have a move to the downside and then you have a candle that looks like this, you see that candle? Right here. This candle, it's a 50% candle, right? You got the body of the candle consisting of 50% or less of the overall candle. That's a basing candle, right? But when price is dropping, price drops and then pauses and then continues, that's what's called a continuation pattern, or I like to call it CP. Or on the latest report, I've updated some of the terminology. For instance, let's get into this here. I call it a CP supply so that you get the idea that it's a supply zone and it's a continuation pattern. Where is it? CP supply. Oh, I wrote it continuation pattern. Anyways, you'll get the report and you'll read through it and you'll see CP is continuation pattern. Okay. So I told you what a theme trade. Send me your messages through private Twitter right now if there's any other vocabulary that you want to get straight on. CP continuation pattern, theme trades, I told you what those are. Institutional trade signals, I explained to you what those are and how I take trades based off of those zones. Those are the two types of trades that I take. Okay. Let me take another sip of my tea while you guys send me any questions. While you do that, let me explain something. So one thing to remember that's really important for me is my process. My process makes me consistent. If I get off my process, then I'm going to make mistakes. Okay? So we need to work as a team. I'm doing my best to provide to you the best information I can possibly provide you and the best analysis I could provide you. But the only way I could provide you with the best analysis, with the best instruction, with the best guidance is if you guys let me do what I need to do. All right? Okay? So I get a question, do you enter on the 4-hour or mostly daily? I get the great question. I should bring that up too. So I get in on trades based off of 4-hour zones, daily zones, and weekly zones. Okay? The higher you go up in time frame, the higher the probability that the trade works. So if you're a very conservative trader and you want to start making some money off of the trade signals that I'm taking, again, I can't advise you to take any trades. I'm just sharing with you for educational purposes. But if you wanted to take trades and take them on a demo account, and you want to build up confidence, the higher the zone time frame, the higher the probability. If I take a trade off of a weekly zone, there's like 90 to 95% chance that trade is going to work. If I take a trade off of a daily zone, I'm looking at between 80 and 90%, 80 to 85%, let's say, that the trade's going to work. If I'm taking a trade off of a 4-hour zone, sometimes it's 80%, but let's say 75 to 80%. Why? Because 4-hour zones, there's a lot more busyness on the charts. Okay? A lot more ups and downs and areas being taken out. It requires a lot of hard work and focus to be able to get the exact 4-hour piece of time frame that the institutions use to fill in a lot of orders. Okay? Because remember, markets are moving up and down and sideways, and you got to time it exactly at the right moment where it's going to reverse. I mean, look at the daily chart, right? I had a trade set up here off of this daily chart, this daily demand zone right here. Price came up, fell short of hitting it, and moved up. So then I found the zone that was most likely going to reverse from. But there was a possibility that this zone wouldn't work and price was going to drop down, because look at all this, right? Boom, boom, boom. There's nothing to stop price from dropping down here, right to the zone. So taking a trade off of a 4-hour zone, there is more risk on it. But the bottom line is that zone is smaller than the size of the daily zone. So you can take a larger size position, risking 1%, which means when price gets up here, you can make 3-4% on that trade within a matter of a week and a half. Okay, and that's the goal, right? To open up trades, risk little, and for big reward with very little drawdown. Very little drawdown. That's the key. When you get really good at trading supply and demand, that's what happens. You get good at spotting the trades, and taking trades off of a 4-hour zone is going to give you the biggest reward to your risk. Okay, so really quickly, we've gone over the 1 hour. The markets are open. I wanted to do a little bit of analysis with you before I let you guys go. But before we get into the analysis, I need to make mention of what I was speaking of, which is my process. Because you're going to come to learn that everything is about your process. Okay? What you do on a daily basis is what makes you a winning trader. How you prepare, the effort you put in. Do you journal or do you not journal? Because if you don't take trading serious, it's not going to provide you with serious returns. Okay? You got to take it serious. I journal. I have a personal journal. I have a personal journal that I keep for myself about my emotions, about my feelings, what's happening in my day. Am I stressed? Am I not? Are my emotions going out of whack? Am I feeling stressed for no reason? Is my mind not feeling normal right now? Should I not be trading? You have to start incorporating all this. Okay? You know what I've been posting in the Telegram channel? Mark Douglas, those videos. Watch that. Watch it once, watch it twice, watch it 3 times, because what he's going to teach you in this series is phenomenal. And the more serious you take it, the more successful you're going to be at trading. Okay? So, with respect to my process, starting this service has changed my process. It's changed my days. Because before I used to just focus on my work and post what I wanted to post on Twitter and on YouTube. And yeah, I got questions. I got people asking me, questions here and there, and I would help out. But now I got a lot more directed questions coming at me. And that's great. I'm here for that. But let me explain what I am not here for, okay? The reason why I post the Forex Market Outlook videos and my journal entries is because I want to share with you where I see opportunities in the markets and where I don't see opportunities in the markets, okay? When you start to become pretty proficient at trading and you start to get a grasp on how your mind plays a significant role in whether you're successful or not, what you're going to start to learn is your mind is capable of playing a lot of big tricks on you. Okay? And if you don't want to fall into the trap of your mind playing tricks on you, you have to be very structured in how you do your analysis. My brain is objective. I look at the markets. I see if there's opportunities or not. If there is, I point out where the opportunities are. I set up my trades. If there's no opportunities, I don't trade. I don't look at the market. I don't stare at the chart. I'm not trying to see if there's a trade setup or not. Because once you start wanting to find a setup, your brain's going to say, "Oh, you want to find a setup? Okay, I'm gonna make you find a setup." Okay. So what I've found is happening, and what has happened this week and last week was a situation where, I get some members coming out and saying, "Hey, Kev, listen, I watched the video, great stuff, but I got a question. New Zealand yen, the New Zealand yen, can you take a look at that chart and tell me what's up with that? Do you think it's a good buying opportunity right now?" Well, listen, if I'm not posting the New Zealand yen on my analysis, that means I don't look at the New Zealand yen. But because of my want to satisfy and make people happy, I'm going to stop what I'm doing, go to the New Zealand yen on a blank chart that I have no analysis done on it. I'm going to start drawing my zones, and before you know it, an hour and a half passes by. I've done analysis on a chart only to tell you, yeah, there's no opportunities. Or, now my brain's going to start feeling guilty. What, I'm supposed to get back to this guy and tell him that there's no opportunities after he came to me asking me for advice? I got to find something for him. And then my brain's going to trick me into thinking that there's an opportunity there. And then I'm going to fall into the traps that I've worked so hard over the last few years to not fall into. So if I'm not posting in my analysis that there's an opportunity on the euro yen, if I'm going through the euro yen, I'm saying there's no opportunity here, the chart's messy, then that means there's no opportunity here. And you should not be looking at this chart, period. Because if you are and you want to find something, you're going to find something. But what you're going to find is a negative P&L at the end of the day. Because you're going to end up taking a trade and you're going to take a loss. And I don't want to look at charts. Once I determine that there's no trade, I don't want to look at that chart anymore until it's the next time to do analysis, or I have an alert that goes off on my charts. Okay? So do your best to not be tempted to have me look into charts that you want to find a trading opportunity. Because maybe you're following other people on Twitter and somebody says, "I'm going to buy this," and it looks good, and it follows support and resistance, or it's hitting the top of a Bollinger Band, or whatever the case may be, and you're thinking, maybe there's an opportunity I'm going to miss, so let me just throw this by Kevin to see what he says. It's best that you don't do that. Okay? Because I need to stay focused and keep my mind in control so I can provide you with the best analysis. So I can show you through example how I stay focused on what I need to do and I don't waver one little bit. Okay? That's very key. And I'm just completely floored with the trade that I missed on the US CAD, which was just ridiculous. I posted on Twitter a couple weeks ago or a week ago that, once this area of demand gets taken out, there's nothing to stop price from dropping down here. So I was waiting for this area to be taken out, and it was taken out by this area of supply right here. So my plan was to wait for it to be taken out and then put an order on the supply zone that caused the removal of that demand zone. And take a look what happened right here. Boom. Triggered short. No drawdown on this position one bit. And boom. A bulletproof would have been hit, and it would have been even further. I probably wouldn't have even put a bulletproof target on this trade. I would have just aimed for 3-1. And I would have made a nice 3% return in April just from this trade. Boom. And it played out within a matter of days. And what happened? I know exactly what happened, and I don't want to point any fingers on it to anybody because really at the end of the day, it's nobody's fault. You guys are just asking questions, and you're allowed to ask questions. But I was so focused on looking at other stuff that people were asking me to look at that I wasn't paying attention to this chart. And how beautiful of a trade would this have been to post in the Telegram channel, a short on here. And whether or not you guys decide to take that trade would have been up to you. But imagine, no drawdown and all profit. Beautiful, right? So I don't want to miss out on these opportunities. Again, I make my living off of trading. And I wouldn't have missed this opportunity under normal circumstances. But hey, we live and learn. We all make mistakes. I made a mistake. I focused too much of my attention on doing other things that I shouldn't have been doing. So what I'm saying is, guys and gals, I need your support. I need your help. I need you to understand the bigger picture here. I'm focused on providing you the best content, the best instruction, the best guidance, the best analysis, and to keep you guys focused on what you need to stay focused on. Not anything else but what you need to stay focused on. And I need your help to keep me on that path and not allow me to veer off of it with distractions. Okay? I know some of you are day traders, so you're always looking for action. And sometimes I post in the Telegram and the Twitter feed, here's a 4-hour chart, and I see a very good opportunity for price to go from here to here. If I post that in the Twitter feed, that's because I have analyzed the situation and I know that there's a very good probability that price is going to move from here to here. Okay? So I'm posting that. Whether you trade off of it or not is up to you, and I know that there's a few people that are doing extremely well so far over the last 2 weeks, day trading off of these short-term moves, and it's making them excited. They're like, whoa, this is like the easiest money I ever made. You know, I used to be pretty decent at day trading, but now I'm getting these really high probability moves, and I'm taking advantage of them based on my style of trading, and I'm becoming profitable with it. I want them every single day. But the thing is, these high probability setups don't happen every single day. So if I'm not posting it on the Twitter feed, that's because there isn't any opportunities. Okay? And if you send me a message and say, hey, Kev, great, your analysis has been spot on. I've been really doing well with my day trades. Is there anything else you can provide to me? What you're going to be doing is you're going to be tapping into that part of my brain that doesn't work well for trading, but works well for trying to please others. And my brain is going to start looking through charts, and I'm going to be like, okay, this guy is doing really well. I want him to continue doing well. Let me see if there's anything else. The pound, okay, maybe not. Let me look at the Aussie. Hey, it looks like the Aussie is going to drop. Is it high probability? Yeah, I think so. Okay, so let me tell him, yeah, probably there's going to be a drop on the Aussie. And then what happens? It doesn't drop. Yet you shorted it. Now it goes up because it wants to test this trend line. I don't know where this guy's risk is or this girl's risk is. I don't know how much tolerance they have for a drawdown. And then what ends up happening is I leave a bad taste in your mouth. And I don't want to do that. I want you to be happy with what you get from me. Okay? So if I'm not providing high probability situations for you to learn from, and if you choose to trade from, it's up to you to do so. But I'm providing these high probability situations because I want you to understand why I am pointing these things out. Because every time I post this analysis, I'm going to tell you why I think that's going to happen. And I want you to slowly get it. I'm planting the seeds in your head for you to understand why there was a high probability that price was going to move to the upside from that area. Okay? So I need you to help me with that. I don't want to miss any more trades. I don't want my focus to be all over the place. I just want to provide you with the best content, the best analysis I possibly can. Okay? It's 15 minutes after 5. Are you guys good on time? Are you guys enjoying this webinar? Are you guys learning with me? Do you guys feel pumped? Are you guys feeling super pumped about this service and about what you guys are going to be learning in the coming weeks and months, and as long as you decide to stay here? Let me take a sip of my tea. My throat is like dry, like I swallowed sand. "15 after 5. Excuse me. So let's take a look at the markets. So you guys got the CFTC report. You guys got the video. What do we see here? Let me see. I think somebody sent me a question. Okay, so I see a question from Dex. Okay, I'll answer your question regarding that. Maverick, yes, my man. Did you know that Top Gun Part 2 is coming out too? Whew, that's going to be amazing. That's going to bring back some good memories from back in the 80s. Okay, so let's get to the markets. What's going on? Now, if you read the report, what did I say in the report? Let's see. Bum, bum, bum. Hey, did you guys like that picture from Picasso? Nice, eh? Called The Dying Bull. I hope you guys got the point of me posting that in regards to the euro. Excuse me. Okay, so what am I thinking is going to happen here? So let's go through the markets really quickly because I don't want to take up too much more of your time. Anybody in Indonesia right now, you guys are probably passed out on your desks. Any of you staying up, can I get a heck yeah, I'm still here with you? I'd love to know who is so committed that it's 5:18 in the morning and you're still with me. I want to know who is out there and still with me at 5:18 in the morning. High five to you, brother or sister. Whoever's doing it, woo, amazing. Okay, so gold. What do we see here? A lot of busy sideways. Past, nothing decent, right? Oil, it's already made its push to the upside, okay? And it left behind in its wake a really nice area of daily demand that was responsible for removing this area of supply, okay? So, nice one, Nell Trader. Let me retweet that so everybody can see. So we got that nice move away, but here's the deal, right? There's also a weekly, this is considered to be a weekly area of demand, pushing up through this weekly area of supply. So this would have to move considerably higher for a 2-to-1 to be able to be considered. So because of that, I'm waiting for a drop into this area here. And because this is a daily zone, I'm going to switch the chart down to a 4-hour. And I'm going to wait for a momentum shift to happen. So that drop would have to come like this. It would have to break through here, come down. I'd have to see a momentum shift, maybe a trend line break, boom. And then I'll buy the momentum. Because the chances are very, very high probabilities price is going to drop into this area of demand, and then we're going to see a push to the upside. Still here. Nice, Carlo. Very good chances that price is going to come down here and move to the upside. Why? Because they just took out a supply zone. A massive one. Right here. They took it out. And when all the traders thought they were being smart selling short up at these highs, they, boom, broke right through it. Took everybody out. So now everybody's, you know, holding in their positions and they're in the minus. Right? Meanwhile, we got in here. Down here. We got in here. And I got out too early. Which is another reason, which is another thing that I really wanted to touch upon. About, you know, looking at the markets. I got into this US dollar Japanese yen trade. Right here, right? This was the signal that I gave out. And then right at that time, somebody was asking me, look at the US dollar. Doesn't it look very weak? It looks like it's going to break even lower. And even though when I originally did my analysis, even though I considered the US dollar becoming weaker as no threat to this trade working, when I was asked over and over again to look at the US dollar, don't you think it's going to drop? It looks like it's going to get weak. This idea kept being planted into my head that the US dollar was going to drop. And now all of a sudden, this idea that this trade wasn't going to work out came into my head. Okay? And then what did I start thinking? Oh no, my stop loss is going to be hit and I'm going to take a loss. Do I want that? No, I'd rather get out now. Okay? And look, bulletproof target would have been hit. Okay? This is how emotions get the better of you and me, because we're all human, right? After all, we're all human. We all make mistakes. So that's why I need you guys to like really do me a favor and like do your best to not plant any seeds in my head. Hey, this looks really bad, don't you think? Yeah. Okay, if you think it to yourself. If I didn't mention anything in the analysis, just assume that it doesn't bother me. And then watch and say, it didn't bother this guy that the US dollar looks like it's going to drop. So I guess it doesn't mean anything to him. Okay, let me see why. Let me continue on following along and seeing his analysis to see why this is not bothering him. Okay? Learn like that. Sit back, watch. You may not have all the answers really quickly, but it's okay. Just sit back and watch and try to figure out why. Let your brain work. Let your brain try to figure things out, because you're going to retain and you're going to learn better this way. Get that brain to work overtime. So I'm waiting for price to get back down. Once it does, I'll wait for that momentum to shift. Plus, looking at looking at oil, right? They're so overly leveraged, so it's risky. It's risky. We want proof. And I'd like to see, once price gets down here, I'd like to see the institutions starting to add to those. Well, I want to see them taking profits on longs, first of all. And then when price gets down here, I'd like to see them add back their longs. Good stuff, Keith. So that's ideally what I'd like to see. But that's going to take time for that to happen. So the move's already been made. If anybody is still holding on to this trade, God bless you. Good for you. And keep on holding on. Bulletproof's already been hit. My next target is 77.05. That's the next spot where price is going to head towards. Okay? But doesn't mean it's going to go there right now, so don't start buying oil. For goodness sake, please. It eventually is going to get there. We have to time it. We have to wait. We have to be patient. We have to watch what the institutions are doing. Wait for them to make their moves. Once they make their moves, then we get in. Wait for that move. Wait for momentum, okay? So that's oil. US dollar. I gave my analysis on the CFTC report. You can watch it there. Aussie, same thing with the Aussie. I think there's a really good chance that we see a move even lower. I've got orders to go long here. I'm not convinced that this is going to be a move here. If it works, beautiful, but I'm not convinced because there's too much against it. Aussie CAD, I think this sucker is going to fly to the upside simply because I'm expecting the Aussie to get strong and I'm expecting the CAD to get weak based on their individual charts. Excuse me, my gosh, my throat. But I need to have a lot of stuff removed first. I need this area to be removed. On the weekly, we got an area here that needs to be removed. So all these things have to happen first, and that's going to take time. So I'm not going to just buy here expecting, because I want to see proof. I want to see for a matter of fact that it's going to happen. Once I see proof it's happening, then I'm going to jump on board. Because then I'll know exactly which zone to take the trade off of. I'll know exactly how to set my risk off for that zone, and it'll be all well calculated. Okay, so Aussie Yen, a mess. Aussie Kiwi, I believe this one's going to go to the upside too. But again, like the Aussie CAD, a lot of things have to be taken out first. CAD Yen, This is going to be choppy, not interested. Euro, expecting it to drop. I'm expecting this zone to be taken out. And once this zone gets taken out, this is like the last piece of foundation. Consider this a crumbling house. The roof has fallen out. Rain is soaking in. The floor is just crumbling. And this floor right here is soaked wood flooring. And it's already been walked on, and it's cracking, and one more touch of it and it's going to collapse and you're going to fall to the basement. That's what I see here. So, you know, the picture being told here is a collapse at an area where I know there's a very high probability of a move to the downside. So the picture in my eyes is very clear that it's going to eventually happen, but there's no institutional trade signal. Okay, that's why I'm in a theme trade, because there hasn't been any institutional trade signal. The only institutional trade signal I've seen here is this trade here. And I didn't take it because I'm already situated with theme trades. Okay, so Euro Aussie, do I want to take any longs on this one? No, not until the euro does its drop and I see how far it's going to drop. And once I see some support, then I'll be interested to go long. Right? Euro CAD, do I want to go long? No. Euro pound broke through this area of weekly demand last week, opening up the doorway for a drop. Okay. And on the daily, we have this area of supply that was responsible for removing that area of weekly demand right here. Weekly demand. Very good probability that we get a move to the upside and then down. In fact, let me just determine whether or not that zone has made a 2-to-1. I believe my eyes are saying yes, and it has. Very good chance that works out. Am I going to take it? No. Personally, I'm not, because it's not high probability. Why? Really briefly, I'll get into this in future webinars, but look at all this here to the left. A lot of momentum to the upside happened from here. So, and look, monthly 20 EMA. Do I want to short off of a 4-hour supply zone against a monthly 20 EMA? Higher time frame analysis always comes first. Not really. Is there a high probability based on my understanding of supply and demand that this is going to happen? Yes. But am I going to take a trade off of it? No. So I pass on it. Okay. Pass on it. Euro yen. Nothing to see here. Euro kiwi, same. Pound. Waiting for the drop to happen. I'm going to get back to the pound really quickly before I let you go. Pound Aussie, nothing to see. Pound CAD, really? We're on hold. We're on hold. Weekly area of supply, pound yen is in control, so high probability that we see a move to the downside, which means weak pound, strong yen. Okay, so this supports a weak pound. Pound kiwi, this one, here's an institutional trade signal. I didn't give it out because I don't think it's of the highest quality. This was an institutional trade signal to go long. You can see price came in. We see that demand now with the gap up. People have asked me, are you afraid of holding positions over the weekend? No, because if you're in the direction and with the flow of the movement of price with the institutions, trust me, it's going to always gap in your favor. Okay, in the last 4 years of trading, that's what I've learned. Well, I should say at least, yeah, 4 years, 3.5 years of recognizing this. I've always realized that if you're with the institutions, it's going to gap in your favor, so you have nothing to worry about. Okay, so this was an institutional trade signal, but we're already too high up, and I'm not comfortable with going short long off of a 4-hour zone this high. I wouldn't be having any problems holding a trade here because bulletproof would have been reached, and it's a free trade now. If the stop loss gets hit, it's not even a loss. So I'd be willing to hold on to that without my emotions being stirred. Okay, theme trades open on the US dollar CAD because weekly demand is in control. Daily demand nested within it is in control, and I'm expecting a move to the upside. If it moves even further down to test this area even further, that's no problem because my theme trades are small positions, low leverage. I'm allowing for a lot of movement. As I see momentum shift, I start to add more. and then I start to close when I start to bump into resistance. Okay. So and Kiwi mess, or yeah, and Swiss franc mess. Nothing to really see. Supplies and control, can't take any longs. Let's get back to the pound. So the pound, so why is it moving up the way it is? Well, when analyzing this chart, I've come to realize that this area was not supply. It's a supply imbalance, but it's not a supply zone. A supply zone and a supply imbalance are two different things. We'll get into that in a future webinar, but we don't have the time to get into it right now. So it's not significant. So these areas can break through very easily. Okay? This was not a demand zone. This was not a demand zone. So when it penetrated through, this was not supply. So this is just imbalances. And imbalances get taken out very easily. In fact, there has not been a decent momentum shift signal on this chart. There hasn't been one decent momentum shift. What's a momentum shift? Well, you see this? You see this? Up, down, higher high. This is momentum. Okay? Traders are trading off of the next time price gets here. So the next time price gets here, the institutions will most likely break this trend line and cause price to drop. And when they do so, they are going to be creating an institutional supply zone where they will eventually want to bring price back up to fill the rest of their sell orders to cause a price to drop down. Okay? I'm not saying this is exactly what's going to take place. I'm telling you there's a high probability of this happening because there hasn't been a proper momentum shift setup on the pound daily chart yet. Okay? But what's really key here to know is that if you take a look at, you know, the pressure and the force of price to the upside on the pound here, there was a lot of momentum getting price up here. A lot. And price isn't just going to shift in a heartbeat. It doesn't work that way. It's like a ball bouncing, like I was explaining. Momentum has to shift and then reverse. Okay? That's how the markets work. So that momentum has to shift. And if you take a look at your RSI, you'll see that's exactly what's happening right now. Okay? So that's it. That is it for your first official webinar. 1 hour and a half. I'm sorry if this has gone above and beyond what you guys had allotted in your schedules. I don't mean to disrespect your time. I wanted to fill in a lot of key points that I wanted to get over to you. Okay, let's take our time in learning this. Slow and steady wins the race. Next weekend, we're going to have another webinar, Sunday at 4 p.m., where I'm going to discuss how the markets actually work, how the institutions move the markets, and how they're using manipulation and trickery to get people to do the opposite of what they are doing. Okay? It's going to be a great topic. If you guys can make it out, I'd really appreciate that you do so. And if not, that's cool. I'm recording the sessions. I'm going to be making it available to you guys, and then you can take it upon yourselves to watch it whenever it's convenient for you guys. But the key is to watch it. Watch, learn, study, watch over and over again. Get hungry. Okay? Get really, really hungry and really commit yourself to this stuff. Okay? Now, Keith, get to bed. Sweet dreams. You guys are awesome. Thank you for all the support. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm truly humbled by all the support that you guys have been offering me. And I want to let you guys know I am not going to let you guys down. For those out there who really want to make this a life-changing moment, I don't want to let you guys down. And I won't let you guys down. Just like I didn't let myself and my family down with this journey that I'm taking, I'll be here for you guys. Work with me. I'll work with you. I'll do the best that I can. All right, guys? That's it. Enjoy. Enjoy the rest of your weekends. And we will talk to you soon. Thank you. Take care. So long.